Hey basketball coaches and basketball players, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training, and today I'm going to talk to you about some easy youth basketball plays that you can run with your basketball team. So basically what I'm going to start with today is some motion offenses that you're generally able to run against both man-to-man and zone defenses, because I know that zone defenses are becoming more and more popular at the youth level. If you want a really good zone defense, however, go check out my Unbeatable basketball defense book in the link in the description below. But first, I'm going to then also go on and show you a couple of easy set plays that you can run as well against man-to-man defenses, specifically man-to-man defenses. So let's get down to the clipboard and let's check these out. But first, hit that like button and subscribe if you like basketball plays, drills, and skills, because that's what I post on here twice a day. In this first play, we're going up against a 3-2 zone defense, and we are going to be countering it with a 3-out 2-in zone. You can also run this offense with going up against a 2-3, and I personally find it works a little bit better, but today I'm going to be showing you it with a 3-2 zone, and then we'll switch it. So what we're going to do is have player 1 pass over to player 2, and player 1 is going to cut down towards that low post, or that low corner, and player 5 is going to be popping up towards the elbow. So that's what we're doing. Now, what we're going to be having is player 2 moving down. Player 3 is going to be moving across. He generally does not and will not go past that free throw, or midway through that free throw line. Player 2 can pass into player 5 and he can take that shot. However, generally speaking, that's going to bring up player 4, which now you can do a high to low pass to player 4. Now, this is a zone defense, so let's say you cannot get it into player 5, or player 5 has troubles, or whatever it may be, and you want to swing that ball around. What we're going to do is have player 3, and we're not going to be passing to player 3. I do not like to have wing to point passes because they tend to get picked off really, really easily, whether it be a man-to-man defense or a zone. So what we're going to have is player 3 come over and set that screen for player 2. Now, what we're going to be having is player 4 moving over towards that low post. There's a couple of different ways of doing this, so I'm going to show you all the different ways. So we can have just the post players move over just like so. That is one option, and player 1 would be then moving over towards that wing, cutting the baseline, or they can cross, or player 4 can move over, player 5 moves down, and then player 5 pops back up afterwards. There's a couple of different options there. Personally, how I used to run it as a player and how I still run it as a coach, we'll have player 4 go across, player 5 cut down, player 1 moves across. We now have a potential open player for a 3-point shot. If not, then we will then have player 2 cut down, and now we're going to be having player 5 cut back up, and there's so many different options that could happen here. So we could have had player 1 open for a shot. When player 2 cuts down, he could have been open for a shot. When player 5 pops up, he could be open for a shot. If that pulls up the defender, we can pass back down to player 4 for a layup. There's so many different options once we swing that ball around the point. Now let's check it out really quickly against a 2-3 zone. So against the 2-3 zone, generally speaking, you're going to have a trap up top. They're trying to force you away from the corners because they do not want you to drive towards the rim down the middle. Because if you get through those two players, you're going to bring up player 5, and now you have two options to pass to, and they're both going to be great options to get layups. So that's why they're trying to push you out towards the corners. In which case, we're going to pass over to player 3. That's going to bring up player 4. Player 5 and 3 are going to cut down. Player 1 is going to cut across, and he may be open for a 3. If that's not the case and they were able to swing really well, then we're not going to have that ability. Now, if we want to pass up to player 3 to swing, you can, or you can have player 3 come down and set that screen for player 1. It's totally up to you. Let's just say we set that screen. We're going to have player 2 setting a screen on this defender here, and player 1 is going to be using that screen. Player 3 is going to be cutting across. Again, player 4 would have been moving up to get that high post pass. Player 4 will then move down. Player 3 may be open after that swing. Another option when that swing happens is player 5 might be left open, and you can kind of do a bullet pass down to him for a quick layup. That's a nice key point that you can have. Player 1 will then cut down to here, and meanwhile the zone is shifting, and we're going to have player 1 move way over. Player 2 is popping up. Player 4 is going up towards the shoulder or the elbow, and player 3 is moving down. Now we can pass into player 4 for a shot. There's so many moving parts when you swing the ball in this zone killer or this zone offense that you're going to have open shots. If you don't have open shots, that initial pass in and cut, you're going to have open shots when you're swinging the ball. Now, what happens if you're going up against what you think is a zone defense and you are actually going up against a man-to-man? Well, let me show you what I mean. So if player 1 comes down towards the corner and we notice that his defender follows him, that means that it's going to be a man-to-man. And we can run a couple of different movements off of this that can really get us a lot of points, and that is having player 4 set a screen across to player 5 popping up towards the shoulder or the elbow, whatever you want to call it. Player 2 passes in. If there's a switch, so if player 4 does a fantastic screen and seal, which means that he sets that screen and then he turns this way and seals his man, player 5 could pass down to player 4 for a layup. But we're still in this offense. So let's say they switched and there was no way of getting that ball across. Well, now player 2 can call out swing. Swing is very important. We can have player 5 go down. Player 3 comes across to set that screen. They're setting that screen, and player 2 is going to be using that screen. We're going to have player 4 setting a screen here, player 5 setting a screen here for player 1. Player 1 is going to pop. Player 2 is going to pass to player 1. He's going to be able to take that shot. Now, what's going to happen is, let's say, for example, this shot wasn't open. Player 1 red was able to keep up to him, but player blue still got that ball. We still want player 2 to go down into that low corner. But what I want to see happen now is, again, still a motion offense. Player 4 setting that screen and seal on player 5. Player 5 curling across and maybe open for a floater or a layup. There's a couple of different options. But again, this is still a motion offense, but now we're doing it differently so that we can get players open against a man-to-man defense. So that's it for the 3-out, 2-in, but I do have 5-out offenses and some set plays that I really want to show you that I find and I think are very important and are going to change your whole season around by running these plays. Now, the 5-out is a very simple offense. You can get very complicated, but whether or not you're running against a man-to-man or a zone defense, this offense is going to work. So I'm going to show you the 3 basics really quickly, and that is the pass and screen away, and pass and cut. There's also a pass and dribble handoff and roll. There is that option as well, and I will show you that, but that is, the dribble handoff is more or less used only against a man-to-man defense. So I'm going to show you it really quickly. I've showed you this offense too many times on this channel, so I'm just going to run through it really quickly. So first off, pass and screen. Player 3 will use that. He could take that shot. Player 1 can roll towards that basket, maybe open for a layup. Now, if neither of those players are open, player 4 is going to fill. Player 1 is going to pop. If you do a pass and screen away, very similar. Player 5 can pop for the shot, or he can cut towards the rim. If he's open, hit him up. Now, if, for example, he doesn't pop here, we want player 4 to dribble up towards that location. We want player 1 to fill player 4's spot and player 5 to pop out. Now, what happens if we set a pass and then we cut? So we pass, we cut. Now player 3 fills, player 2 fills, player 4 fills. It's almost like a clock. Now, with a dribble handoff, you're going to have player 1 do a dribble handoff with player 3. Player 3 gets that ball. He's going to fill that spot. Player 1 is going to roll. He may be open for a layup. If not, then player 2 is going to fill, player 4 is going to fill, and player 1 is going to pop. Very simple. And those are simple motion offenses that you can run against even zone defenses. The dribble handoff, not so much, but the screen for and away, as well as the cut, all work really well against zone defenses. And I've got videos on that on this channel anyways. Now, these next plays are very simple set plays that you can run with your team as well. And you can also run these plays as baseline inbounds plays too. So really, there won't be as much confusion if you run, let's say, one or two of these box plays, and you can say, hey, these are inbounds plays, but also they also work really well for offense. So let's get down to the clipboard. Let's check these out. So really quickly, I just want to let you know that these box plays will only work against a man-to-man defense on offense, but will work okay and fairly well against the zone defense when inbounding the ball. Now, player 5 is going to set a screen down. Player 4 is going to set a screen down. We want our big players to start up top here. And they're going to be setting those screens down, and player 3 and 2 are going to be popping. They may be open for a three-point shot. Let's say player 2 gets that ball, and he doesn't have that shot. Let's say his man kept up. Well, what we really want, personally, is for player 4 to have that mismatch. So if there isn't a mismatch, now we can just go into our 3-out, 2-in motion offense. But if there was a mismatch, so let's say, for example, player 2 switched off and we had player 2 get that ball and have the big forward guarding player 2. One of two things can happen. If player 4 is a really dominant player in the low post and you know, hey, that's a tall player who's going to be able to dominate player 2, well, now we can pass the ball in, player 5 can clear out, give player 4 some space, go to work, and score on that shorter defender. However, if player 4 is not a dominant post player, but player 4 red defensively is not very fast, while offensively player 2 blue is, player 4 can clear out, we can have that mismatch driving towards the rim. Now this next play, what we're going to be having is the tall players all on one side setting a screen across for players 3 and 2. So they're going to be setting those screens, and player 3 and player 2 are going to be popping out towards the free throw line extended and out towards that low corner. Player 1 is going to make that pass. If player 2 is open for that shot, take it. If player 3 is open for that shot, he's going to pass through. Now, what's going to happen to these players if, let's say, both of them are covered? Well, player 4 is going to be in the high post. Player 5 is going to be setting a screen up to his man, and we're going to have player 4 curl on the inside, not the outside, but on the inside, and he may be open for a layup. If not, we are essentially in our overload that we had before. So if player 5 pops up, we were in our overload. So now we can just set that screen, and now we can have that double screen down low pop over just like we did earlier on in the video. And that's another benefit that I like about the box offense, is when they pop out and the play is essentially over, you can now run the 3-out, 2-in motion offense. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again later on today for the second video of the day.